Hello, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here with you today and to have Rebecca Greenspan with me. Rebecca is the Ibero-American Secretary General. She heads one of the important multilateral institutions that we have in Spain that covers the Ibero-American space, which is basically all of the Ibero-American countries across the Atlantic. And we're here today because we are about to present a report that we both did, the Secretary, the Ibero-American Secretary, and us on business with purpose and the rise of the fourth sector. And thank you for finding the time to do this. And my first question is, why is this important, right? What took us to invest time and resources in studying the state of the fourth benefit sector, the fourth sector? Why is this significant when we're thinking about global affairs and the state of the economy? Why do you think this is significant and why now?
Well, two of the most important things that happened last years in the multilateral space were the agreement on climate change and the agreement on the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and what is called the Agenda 2030. And I think that those two elements are really important for taking our world forward to a better place. But if we don't do anything to make them happen, we will get to 2030 without our work done. And it's not possible to really take the Agenda 2030 forward without a very deep involvement of the private sector. Now, if the private sector continues to do things the way they have been doing them for the last 50 years, also we won't be able to get to our goals in the agenda. So we need to work with the private sector, understand what is happening on the ground in trying to change things so business can be more inclusive and sustainable at the same time. How can we have firms that are profitable, that are viable, and at the same time behave in their business model, in what they do as business, in a way that will allow the SDGs to happen? And I think that's why it's important, the fourth sector, because it's a different business model to be able to take advantage of the markets, but at the same time be sustainable and inclusive in terms of the SDGs.
That's absolutely right. I mean, for us, it was a vital question, right? Because we're seeing in the world today this very deep social and political fracture in many places. And one has to wonder whether this should be having a larger impact in the way that the private sector sees its mission and fulfills its mission. And one of the answers to this question is, in fact, the fourth sector, which is a private sector that is much more committed to the 2030 agenda and to goals of sustainability and others. No, my second question, my second and final.
But also, Manuel, let me say, there is a lot happening. Right. There is a need, there is a demand from business and from citizenship for this to happen. And I think that we have to help that, to have a roadmap for governments to help and to potentiate what is already happening.
Actually, that's a segue to what I was going to ask, which is who's doing things right, who's a model from the point of view of governance and support and regulation of these companies and this sector, who's doing this right, at least in the Ibero-American space, that we can look to and say, actually, these people are doing a good job.
Well, I think that there are good parts everywhere, but I won't say that there is somebody that we can look at as a model. Not yet. And that's precisely the difficulty of what we are facing, because we need to create a new ecosystem for these enterprises to flourish and to be able to grow, not only to happen, but to grow and be stronger than they are now. And we have bits and pieces everywhere. In Latin America, there are several governments that have been innovating in terms of different regulations and laws for social enterprises, for what they call enterprises of social impact. It's a cooperative, etc. We have a lot happening in the US and in Europe also. We have regulations in the environment on the one hand, and we have regulations in terms of rights of workers and behavior and audits for the private sector, but nothing of that is being put together. And probably what we need to do is to learn from each of these parts and be able to connect the dots to make the policy framework much stronger and viable for these enterprises to flourish.
This is partly the effort that we've tried to do here in a particular geographic space. Who's doing what? What's the scale of the sector? Who's doing what? Who's doing things rightly, and what other areas need improvement? But I think this is a major topic for debate now and moving forward. So thank you very much for finding the time for this, for your support in putting together this report, and thank you everybody for listening. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.